Hello everyone. What a few days we've had. What a nice day we are having today in the markets. But let me just open by saying that not from an ego perspective, but boy, we've been calling it. We've been calling it for weeks, for months even. Back when pretty much no one followed me uh, at the local top in December. And it's a bit frustrating, I'm not gonna lie, that to have such little visibility, to be sharing, which I think are very useful videos explaining everything I know and everything I see for free. I mean, yes, I started doing that because I wanted to, of course, but I mean, I'm not charging, I'm not gatekeeping content, and I don't even reach 100 views per video. Let me please ask you, if there has been any account as precise as these uh, lately in every chart. I mean, every chart I follow: USDT, dominance, DXY, GOLD-BTC. I mean, I know I repost many of the calls I make or the opinions, especially pinned in chats in the charts. Sorry, but because I don't want to just say random stuff. I know everyone follows hundreds of accounts, perhaps, so it's impossible to remember everything one says. And I don't want to become or to look like one of those that posts a lot and then just cherry pick the tweet that might have worked, just shooting in every direction to just pick whatever fits better, right? So let me have it, please. Let me have just this moment because I think it's been really really good so far, and I hope it is when the time comes, so we can squeeze the last penny from this market and not get greedy and expect for just that little bit more, right? So let's take a quick look at the market. This was the general structure on the daily. This was the path that I initially drew, the most likely path with this potential pullback. But I also mentioned that this area, which was the key area to enter this upper range, right, to turn this into support, we had a couple of retests here. So that might have been not enough, right? But the way BTC was reacting and holding here, right, together with this strong reaction here, even with the surprisingly low GDP numbers yesterday, BTC couldn't even go below, like, I mean, barely below 93K. These, to me, was the, I'm not going to say confirmation, but because you only know that in hindsight, but to me, I feel like that was the confirmation, the same way I said at the bottom, that this initial divergence that I thought could be the bottom, right? When I said it extended into this one, and that to me was the confirmation that reinforced the idea of a reversal the same way that it did here in summer, right? So to me, this was the confirmation that this could be front run, that everyone expecting this logical or crowded area could be front run. The same way the previous all-time high, not even the week, right, was slightly front run here at the bottom. Imagine having all your positions waiting for 73 or even, I don't know, 70, whatever, just to be front run and making you chase. That's what we are seeing now. We have broken out. This is a vertical accumulation, like here, right? I said study October 2023 for a reason, and this is the reason. It's even better because here BTC on the daily reached almost 88, which we haven't here, right? It's all healthy. There's no divergence. There's nothing. This leg is still very healthy. The same way I posted, I think it was this morning. This accumulation here at a key level on the RSI behavior here was still very healthy. We might be around here and we have another push. And I said a few times that being above 70 RSI, no matter if it's the daily or the weekly or whatever the time frame, right? I mean, the higher the time frame, the bigger the space for a bigger impulse, right? But the thing is, above 70 is when the biggest legs happen. This is the bull territory. I mean, there's a difference between being in this area and being really overheated. We need this. This is momentum. This is our time, right? If we take just a quick look, the moment we break above, boom, we have big pushes, right? Big impulses here, right? We break above this, we have this leg, and we have another one. So we're still below that, right? And I said that perhaps the day could close retesting these 90, sorry, is 95.6 and then bouncing. But again, I said, don't try to outsmart the market. When a new leg comes, just let it play, let it run, right? And that's what we are doing. On the weekly, I said that we had the breakout that we were waiting for. We might have a retest, but as I think it was Rafael who pointed out that perhaps we just kept running, like here in October 23, which, by the way, considering the dailies looking very similar to these, even the 4-hour and the 200 moving averages that I said were reclaiming the same way. Why couldn't we see that, right? I mean, the economy isn't breaking. This was all an overreaction and a speculation on tariffs. And when I say speculation, it's because there's nothing guaranteed yet. It's all about negotiating. We are in the negotiation phase. And what are market makers doing, and what have they done? Trigger panic. So people sell anticipating a very bad, or they buy anticipating a very good scenario. But all that is speculation. It hasn't been confirmed. So if you do that, if you try to anticipate a move, like selling at 95.6, expecting a pullback here, you are not selling weakness here. You're just, the market looks good, and you're trying to anticipate what you think is logical, but you don't have data. It's like when people say, yes, we have broken, but then a pullback to this level or whatever level, and then we are good to go. Or this would be healthy. Why would it be healthy, man? What's toxic? I mean, the opposite of being healthy. What's toxic about this? This looks good. Why would I try to be smarter? Isn't that perhaps PTSD and fear what's driving that kind of thought? Because when Pepe was doing like after a 5-6x in 4 weeks in March, I didn't see anyone saying that we need a pullback. Everyone just posting Pepe to the moon every freaking day. That's dangerous. But when you still see fear in every move, or you feel fear in every move, ask yourself if that's based or backed by TA, or if it's all this PTSD still there, right? Making you doubt. Because if you were playing leverage or futures, I mean, not necessarily with leverage, but futures instead of spot, what would you do now? Did you buy this breakout? Is it now too risky because it's going up? Did you wait for this retest? What if there isn't any retest until higher, right? So again, this was the moment to buy when there was fear. Even if you buy here in this first divergence, you try to anticipate. You try to, I don't know, you are in a rush and you want to be in the market all the time, and perhaps you buy prematurely here, and you see this and you say, fuck, we're going down. Now in hindsight, at least you base this move on TA, right? And you could think, okay, it happened here, it went even lower, but it was a good place to buy. So now that was 79, 80K. Does it look back now? Even your Alkins are 50, 60, 70% up from that point, right? And I want to pay attention to the 4-hour because this is very, very, very interesting for the future. We could argue these, okay, I said that this was the end of the first leg on these 4-hour, I mean, overheated levels, and then this divergence confirmed that BTC, as I posted, the king needed to rest. But this was lower time frame, right? So the daily, which is above the 4-hour, obviously wasn't unaffected, or was unaffected, right? So when I saw that, people could say, okay, this is building weakness, right? But there's a chance, considering how this is a spot driven move, which is key to understand this kind of move. Because if this was like in November on the daily, right here on the daily, we had these bearish divergence building, and this was when the perpetual move, the futures were chasing. That was dangerous because this is no longer a spot driven move, right? People who buy for longer, it's just people chasing, asking to be liquidated. So the difference here in the 4 hour, which by the way, I didn't care if it came back down here. This is just 4 hour chart. I mean, it won't change anything just in the short term. So the difference here is that BTC was holding a spot driven move, right? And this was reaccumulation. How do you differentiate accumulation like this from weakness building? That's the key. That's difficult to know. That's why you have to read the whole trend. Are we in a new trend? Or is this the start of an exhaustive trend in a higher time frame? Is this just a normal pullback after being overheated? You have to learn that. That's why structure, horizontal structure, matters, right? Imagine this is the daily, and now you see this, and you say, fuck. I mean, there is no divergence here, right? Now, after all this downtrend on the RSI, I said here that perhaps it was finding its bottom, and we had this new lower low, but it was just a trap. That's why I say the lower time frame is noisy, very noisy. I wouldn't care about this, right? So now we have broken. I mean, holy shit, this is growing just in real time. And what do we do now? We just wait. We just wait to see where in the daily BTC decides to rest. Above here we have, like, we could say we have 98k more or less, right? And it was the next peak, which by the way I'm gonna add it here for the future reference. This is the next. I'm gonna use, I don't know, orange. This new level, right? Which by the way was something that I kind of pointed here with this path. It's 102, right? This structure is very bullish and healthy in the sense of making a higher low, higher high. Could this be the higher low? Could this be the higher low rate later? I don't care. The structure has changed, which is something we've been talking about, right? So all good. No rush. Let it all play, right? The RSI in the 4 hour is healthy for another pushback. Daily, huge. I posted yesterday that perhaps we retested, and we didn't, right? Because price is king. RSI is confirmation, right? Or confluence, so to speak. Great. It all looks great. And let me just take a look, because again, perspective is king. We can't just focus on one chart, one time frame, and just be attracted to that, right? Let me remember. First of all, I'm going to pay attention to USDT dominance. You remember this chart if you've been following me, how these mark the summer bottom for BTC, how I said that these, again, this daily divergence could mark the bottom, the peak of bottom for BTC, and it did. And it did. If you haven't followed my videos, I'm gonna show you how it did, right? I'm gonna use some blue color here. Peak of bottom for BTC. Peak of bottom for BTC. What else do we did? I mean, we have it here. What do we have now? This was, as this is inversely correlated to BTC, BTC didn't retest DNA daily. What did USDT did? What did it do? Be rejected by the daily because it's in a new downtrend. It's in a new downtrend. So we could have some small moves here. Look at this perfect rejection of this range. Textbook, we lose it. After the various divergence, we get rejected. We try to hold here. No, now we come back up, right? The first real target, as I said, 4.5 is getting closer. And the biggest target in the high time frame for now is this 375, 370, something like that. We are in a new downtrend. I said we had what we wanted, the breakout. The same way BTC broke to the upside, USDT dominance broke to the downside. When the last time? September. Freaking Q4 run. We just had it. We just have to let it play. Look at this, try a small bounce and then immediate rejection this week. I mean, this is an obvious downtrend. This looks great for continuation. Might stop for a while here with some wicks or whatever. Who cares? Who cares if it's just... It all looks like it's going to be attracted to this lower point, right? If you go to the macro USDT chart, again, I posted a lower high. It was the original idea back in mid-December when I spotted these oversold levels, these weekly bullish divergence, right, at very high time frame support. BTC showing weakness, open interest very high. Everything was calling for a reset. This so far, this is perfect distribution. Bell flagging a downtrend, confirmation, lower high. If we lose this support, I said buckle up because I think this range, as I posted here, every time you lost it, yes, you could have like a bounce and bounce here, right? And rejection to confirm that yes, probably this lower path, this lower level will be tested. Perhaps by the time BTC comes here, it's new all-time high, gets rejected, testing the previous all-time high, and price discovery, right? All good. Now let's take a look again at the DXY. Do you remember when I posted here that DXY was turning around right on time at the top? And then again, I posted from the let me just look for it. No, it's okay. Let me just oh, it is here. When the economist posted that the dollar is meant to be a source of safety, blah blah blah, it has been a cause of fear. Again, at the bottom, it's always the same. Fear at the bottom, euphoria at the top. And I said, please never change. Your contributions are invaluable. Why? Because they were scared here. They were trying to scare people here. And I said, what's next? Tell people to buy gold now because it's starting to move. I mean, hint, hint. The top was closed, right? And if we go to the chart, isn't this ironic? This whole chain, I mean, sorry, range. Where do they post it here? Yes, we have a wick. I said last week that it was trying to reclaim the range, but so far it was rejected. And what about now? What about now? Isn't this interesting for the DXY? The place where it has bounced, curling up. I said, is this the place? I mean, when it was so oversold, is this the place at least for a bounce? I mean, it might get rejected here, print a lower low and roll over again. But the thing is, for now, it is weak. But these oversold levels could be meaningful. Now it's trying to reclaim this. Bearish at the bottom. No one posting bearish signs here at the top for the SY. Again, I will try to keep sharing all this for us to follow the markets the best way possible, right? What about the gold-BTC ratio? Now, I think let me enjoy this, right? Because everyone was shilling gold, new all-time high, gold acting as BTC should. How many times have I posted based on data that BTC normally follows gold, that gold leads the breakouts and BTC follows? I haven't looked for the post that I posted. I don't want to waste time here, but if you've been following me, or you can just check in my Twitter profile and look for it. But I said smart money positions when people are looking at the sunniest obvious. Yes. Say everywhere that gold is acting as a real hedge against inflation, against uncertainty, right at the freaking top. Yes, go for it, man. I'm sure smart money is buying this. This was the gold, and it is the gold-BTC chart. Regular bearish divergence, trend in change, cycle bottom for BTC. First bearish divergence, Q4 run. Correction for BTC, gold pushes. I said here when I posted, right, which is here, RSI wasn't still rolling over, but the bearish divergence was here. was a matter of time for BTC to outperform gold. What do we have now? Complete rollover from the RSI, breaking the MA in the weekly, bang, acceleration, Q4 run. Stock RSI rolling over completely. I mean, peak or top, bottom for the gold BTC ratio. Is that the time to buy gold? Is that the time to follow what everyone says? Let me tell you something. The same thing will happen and happens when your altcoin is running insanely, when every shitcoin is pushing. People say it's the next thing, new all-time high. What's next? I just drew some random lines. I completely ignore the oversold and overheated oscillators. I just use some Fibonacci logarithmic view, so it prints an even higher target. I place whatever Elliott waves I want to make you believe you're going to the freaking moon. I'm gonna turn my $1K into a 100x for sure, because it's all starting now. It's the same kind of euphoria. The thing is, we don't care about gold. That's why we didn't pay really much attention to this. I open the gold chart. This is when I posted that people are looking at that. I've been charting gold for quite some time here in this channel. Not many people follow, sadly. And I said, so far this cycle, this daily move hasn't been surpassed, right? So this looks like a blow off top, final move of a blow off top. I posted it here in this huge candle when the euphoria was around gold. What do we have there? Yes, a little bit higher, but then a rollover, right? And we go to the weekly. What do we have? I posted it because this could be a shooting star. Again, RSI on the weekly at levels similar to the 2020 top, which I mentioned, not even as high as the previous correction, and now breaking below. How far it goes down, I don't care. I'm just using TA to do the same thing at the top. I don't care if my coin looks like it could push higher. I don't care if there's another little push. I don't know, in this case, my shit could go like up 20, 30%. Would I risk buying here? I said that. Would you really risk buying here? Right? Would you really risk buying an asset that looks like this, man? Look at this on the monthly. I said, look at this RSI level. Yes, no various divergence there, but do you really want to buy this kind of level? Look at this indecision, right? It looks like a top, but people, probably retail, bought this candle. For what? Probably to eat this up and perhaps come back down here. Again, this is what we want to apply to our charts, right? So finally, I want to open this chart. I think I posted it yesterday, right? And you see the candles, and I think it was on the weekly, right? It was clearly on the weekly. Yes. Right, so I don't know why the numbers here just erased for some reason. The thing is, this candle, right? People, we saw this, and yeah, lower high, new lows incoming. These bearish idea was reinforced because everyone was in freaking altcoins, right? So their altcoins were suffering still here, right? But what was BTC doing? Just a retest. Again, yes, this is when we are here, and I posted yesterday, BTC can break resistance, vertical bounce, see you down, lower low, lower high. Bro, I mean, we just had a breakup, let it all play, right? It all looks very, very good. What about some altcoins, right? You can say, oh, sorry, BTC dominance. I wanted to see this chart. Let's say if I can open in. By the way, Ethereum is something that I haven't really charted in a long time, and it's also breaking after this high time phrase support holding here. You could even argue here, which was October lows. I don't like Ethereum, but you can't deny that this it's not looking bad, right? Look at the huge divergence, by the way, or just sell at 84 in the weekly. Whatever, it's we have like a breakout here, so it could be interesting. So we go to the BTC dominance chart. This freaking BTC dominance chart. Again, I said that I don't really care, right? Everyone was I said that it could weak here. I don't know. I don't care. It's, to me, it's a matter of time, right? It's still, it hasn't been able to really make a high. Yes, you could argue here, but we'll see. I don't care. I don't care how much it extends. Again, I said that we might see this and then boom. Why not? I don't care. I don't care if it goes a little bit higher, right? I don't care. I don't really care. Because I know that the higher BTC goes, the higher altcoins goes. And let me tell you something. BTC dominance going up, it doesn't always mean that your altcoins are going into BTC. It also means that new money is coming to the market. USDT dominance is dropping because that money doesn't stay in USDT, right? The market cap of USDT goes down, the same with USDC, and goes into BTC. So BTC dominance grows also because it is getting bigger compared to altcoins. That doesn't mean that altcoins are going to lose every time it goes down, right? The thing is, as I posted recently, we might not be ready for this, for what comes later. And again, perspective. Yes, huge old season. We want people just want these small fraction of the cycle. This is all they remember. The huge old season from January to May. This is all they remember. This is when all the retail gets the attention, right? February, March. This is where but they don't show you this, right? Let's say here, right? They don't show you that. So from the bottom of the bear market, well, you can say that this is the bottom, right? The confirmation when the change, the near cycle. For now, BTC dominance is still not. This could be. I don't care. A few days, more or less. We are still on track. The difference is we had some small corrections or big corrections here, depending how you want to see that. And so far, this has been the choppy uptrend for BTC dominance, right? This whole cycle. But again, we're still on track compared to the last cycle. The thing is, people are impatient because they saw that is the last cycle, so they quickly position themselves in altcoins from the bottom or even higher, or they are just back holding here, right? And they are just tired of holding. And I know the feeling. But it's still good. That's why you have to zoom out, check the higher time frame, and see if there's something abnormal. And some people say, yes, okay, but it doesn't look like this time we're going to have an old season. First of all, time-wise, still good. We can just see a complete rollover. And even it could happen fast. So technically speaking, you cannot predict it, right? Perhaps if it happens slowly, you can start seeing on the daily, then the weekly, then the monthly. But again, we just have to be ready. And some people could say that, yes, no old season. You have seen this season, this whole cycle, alts haven't really run. They have. These corrections are decent pumps for sometimes big pumps. I mean, 5, 6x. It's really big. If you only expect 10 or 20x, then that's a risky expectation. But the thing is, if you really think, do we really think the market makers don't want to get the most out of altcoins as well? Then, if this was a BTC only cycle, why have these small correction, these small pumps or big pumps in a short time for altcoins? Why have them? Because you want to keep people engaged in the market, right? You want to keep them bidding, round tripping, right? If you remove their attention completely, you might not have enough buyers lately, right? At the top, you risk losing complete attention and not getting all the all the money you want. So if you keep people thinking, giving some bursts of hope, you make them stay. You make them stay in the market, round trip it, hold it, right? Keep buying higher because you give them the illusion and the hopes that it could really go higher, right? This is just my interpretation, but I don't think it's very wrong. Here in 2020, let me just see what total 3, I'm going to include, let's say total 2 as well with Ethereum. Yeah, why not? Yes, people want the last cycle, but tell me something. If you bought the bottom, or if you were holding here, right? From, let's say, I don't know, you entered 2019 until here, your shitcoins for 2 years or 1 year and a half did nothing, right? From March 19 till March or January, yes, pretty much 2 years, they did nothing. And then, boom, what do we have this cycle? Small moves, small correction, pumps, big correction, pumps, big correction, but at least we have already had something. If you think nothing has happened, it's because of your backs, your choices, or how bad down you are, right? But if you look at data, this cycle so far has been very good for odds. The thing is, you have to play them in this cycle in weekly bursts. It's not like up only. But if you want to have up only, perhaps you have to go through this. And no one talks about this, right? So we should bear in mind that it's all still time-wise, if we want to compare it to the only data point we have, which is the last cycle, it's all good. Again, if BTC hasn't really topped yet, which is something we want BTC to go as high as possible. I said, let BTC run. This could still take a few more weeks, right? We are in a new weekly cycle. Let it all play. We want it to go as high as possible, for then some small rotation. And again, here in Q4, 61% to 54, 53, I don't care. 6-7% drop in BTC dominance. Altcoins were flying. Perhaps not yours. Perhaps just select narratives. But again, XRP, which was really big, people didn't expect it to move. Not much. It made a 6x, right? From 50 cents to $3 in 6 weeks, more or less. It was a huge market cap with just 6% drop. Imagine, and from BTC around 110. Imagine BTC goes to 150, and then we have a really rollover from BTC dominance, not just this. Again, we might not be ready. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Buckle up, get ready, start, I don't know, getting excited looking for cars or whatever. No, I'm just saying that perhaps we have to remain open-minded in both directions, both up and down. But technically speaking, if we have a real out season or a decent drop, I don't know, let's say from 64 golden ratio 0.5 or even better to 0.3, it's like a almost 15% drop. We haven't seen this cycle. Why not? If BTC dominance says it's over for me this cycle, why couldn't it really roll over hard, right? Or perhaps not rolling over very much, but because we have the ETFs now, so the inflows keep coming and everything is pumping. BTC dominance is retracing much because there's still new money coming from other sides, which is the ETF. And BTC keeps rising, right? But again, we will just play that when the time comes. The thing is, this is great for the whole market. Seriously, this is it. We just have to wait. We've been waiting for this BTC dominance for almost 1,000 days. What's a couple more months, right? If we take a look at the weekly cycle, again, trying to time the market is useless, pointless. But I guess when you are impatient or when you want things to happen already, you try to time that. So let's take a look and see if we get some kind of idea. I said in the last video that I think it was Bob Lucas, who also follows weekly cycles, that said that this was indeed a new weekly cycle, right? And it normally lasts around 14 weeks, according to him, right? So let's take a look. For example, let's say this is a new weekly cycle that lasts until here, right? What do we have here? It's more than 4 months, right? It's like actually 5 months. So if we measure from the breakout to the top, yes, it happened right at the break. If we measure here from the break to the top, this was smaller, 84 days, around 3 months, smaller push. Let's say something in between, 4 months, something like that, midsummer. Okay, people say July, whatever, let's say July, 90 days. Yeah, 3-4 months, and we have this push, right? And then imagine by then BTC is showing weakness, and we start seeing something like we saw here. But we have BTC dominance showing real weakness as well, because every time BTC has said, okay, it's over, back to BTC dominance, it's over this correction, back to BTC, right, to keep running or to correct, we had signs here. But what if it keeps rolling over? Perhaps that's our sign, even though BTC is just chopping and showing weakness, as it did in 2021, weakness all this January to May was overheated, various divergence, chopping distribution. This was the time alts were running and BTC dominance dropped hard, right? BTC was doing nothing price-wise, losing strength here. What if we have something like that? Or what if it all tops again together with BTC? I've been thinking about this, and perhaps these bursts altcoins have topped together with BTC, but it was an alt season. It doesn't mean it has to be black or white. I mean, it says in the sense of, okay, this cycle, altcoins only run together with BTC. And that's what will always happen. What if it's happening that way because this is just like catch-up moves for altcoins? And this is not the real time yet. So when BTC corrects, and everything corrects, because it's not the time yet. This cycle actually has been kind of easy to trade because it's been about the 50, the weekly. Let me remove the indicators and add the thing about the 50, the 50, the 50. Previous stops turning into support like here, right? Not like here, but kind of like this week, right? It's been like weekly cycles to play, not just to the moon cycle, which, by the way, this is hard to trade. In my opinion, this is harder because everything keeps going up. It doesn't matter if there is some kind of breaks below, pushes, break below, but then there's another. I think this is not that easy, right? But the thing is, if you have a breakout, you just let it play, which is what we are seeing now, right? So nothing much to add. I think I have made a long video again. We'll see when I finish. The thing is, all good, guys. USDT, gold. We don't care about DXY. We have seen there's no real correlation this time. There is many global factors affecting DXY, and we don't really see. We have seen in the previous video that the correlation for crypto is USDT. Forget about DXY, right? The USDT is the money coming into the market and exiting the market. That's what we speculated, that if DXY goes down, then that money eventually will come. It might go just to stocks. And now we have the ETFs. So it doesn't really have to reflect with BTC, right? Like it's not a mandatory thing. We just follow the charts, which, by the way, look beautiful. I mean, textbook, right? So let's just see where BTC retraces, where BTC holds. If it's 95.6, or perhaps goes down to 92 again. I mean, Could still be a higher high, a higher low, sorry, higher high and a higher low. All good. But if it keeps 95.5, I'm not going to complain. Let the new weekly cycle play. We will come back when things start looking bad. I don't care how RSI is, how high it is, right? I will look for the signs on the daily and the open interest, and if BTC dominance is distributing among alts, we'll see, right? Everything looking good. Just have some patience and enjoy the ride, guys. See ya.